My name is Craig Petronella. So I'm the CEO of Petronella Technology Group. We're an IT cybersecurity and compliance firm that specializes in DFARS, CMMC, which I'll talk about today, NIST compliance 853-171, National Institute of Standards and Technology, and the Defense Federal Acquisition Regulation Supplement, or DFARS. We're going to talk about both of those topics today. So this organization, NIST, was established in 1901 by Congress to promote the U.S. economy through technical leadership for the country's measurements and standards infrastructure. So does anybody know what CUI stands for? Controlled Unclassified Information. So it could be emails, contracts, blueprints. If you design something for the military and you have sensitive information, that's considered CUI. So NIST has come out with a great special publication called the NIST 800-53. You can download this document right on NIST.gov. It's about 500 pages, but it's extremely dry, it's very boring, and very dense. There's 17 areas, including incident response and access control, and the NIST 853 special publication is really the standard for U.S. government cybersecurity. So when we move on to NIST 800-171, that applies to government contractors that are pursuing grants with DoD. How do you protect the CUI, making sure that you're in compliance, making sure that you adopt the necessary controls that you need so that if you were to go through an audit, you'd pass. This is an infographic that really explains pretty well how NIST and the FARS system, how they come together and where NIST 800-171 fits into play. So prime contractors hired by DoD have been required to follow the NIST 853 protocol since its inception in 2005. So basically not only primary contractors and subcontractors, but this applies to any subcontractor that sells anything to a government supplier or wishes to do business with a government supplier or contractor in the future. It's not just for manufacturers. So right now, there's no NIST certification. There's no body of the government that is similar to in HIPAA. In HIPAA, there's the Office of Civil Rights, so that's the enforcing arm. There's no really enforcing arm right now of NIST at this moment, but that's changing, and I'll talk about a slide coming up. But so at this moment, it's an honor system. So if you're doing business, you're making a widget for the military, or you're doing something with the DoD and you have a contract, it's an honor system that when you sign off on your paperwork to get your grant money, that you're saying that you're going to do this stuff. And what this stuff is this huge list of security protocols, policies, and procedures that are all defined on the NIST website, but I'm going to distill some of it for you here. So Sarah Brin is a big cyber auditing firm, one of these third-party auditors that I was talking about. So they found that 0 companies were compliant when they went through, and only 39% implemented the NIST 800-53 security controls. 61% were not implemented or only partially implemented. Large companies only successfully implemented about 60%. So this is awful. This is why you see ransomware. This is why you see all these breaches happening, because it's honor system now. People are trusting that this stuff's getting done, but it's not. That's why they're tossing the whole NIST thing in favor of the CMMC, and then they're requiring the third-party auditor, so it's not going to be an honor system anymore. The bottom 3 there apply to pretty much any business. So everyone in this room should be using multi-factor authentication. You should all be doing the security awareness training, and you should be checking your vulnerabilities with what's called pen testing and security assessments, at least annually. So these are the areas that the 171 requirements, it's broken into 14 families. There's security access control, awareness and training, audit and accountability, configuration management, identification, authentication, incident response, maintenance, media protection. Some of these you could actually, like media protection, for example, there could be a written information security policy that you can say, I don't want to use thumb drives anywhere, and then you just don't do that. So you could do extreme measures like that too. So in NIST 800-171, there's currently 14 families with a total of 110 requirements that you have to do to become compliant. And they fall into these 4 groups: the controls, monitoring and management, end user practices, and security measures. So you need to assess and develop the security controls. You need to develop the policies and procedures, create and maintain audit records. You have to have a log trail, basically. And in the transmit column, you have to securely transmit the data, so basically encrypt everything. At rest, in transit, as much of encryption that you can implement. So the monitoring and management requirements are that you monitor and manage user access. You need to know who's logging in and out of systems. You need to be checking that, authenticating the users using multi-factor authentication, establish incident management process, patching of critical systems and scanning for vulnerabilities, deploying your antivirus and malware solutions, and monitoring everything for network malicious traffic. Your end users need to be trained. They need to be tested. There needs to be minimum password complexity. You can combine what's called a hardware token, which is, I have a device, yeah, here. Anybody ever know what this is? You got one. 2 people, YubiKey. So this is a hardware token. You can link this with a multi-factor authentication or an MFA solution called LastPass. That's one of the many vendors. You link the two together, so if somebody hacks your password, they still have to have the hardware key. So it's a much stronger, more secure method. And then you need to document how controlled, unclassified information is controlled by every department within the company. So you got the security requirements. You need to assess and develop appropriate security controls. So you get this huge document if you go on the NIST website. You don't have to do every single control. It's only certain. You need to work with a professional to figure out which controls apply to you and figure out what you need to adopt and implement. You need to back up your CUI securely, enforce the policies, making sure that there's no unauthorized software being able to be loaded onto the systems, track, identify, restrict access to ports, use firewalls everywhere. So we have a couple different options that we offer to get you familiar. So if you need to be NIST compliant, we have what's called a NIST Essentials security checkup. And then you might wonder why we have a marketing checkup too. So the reason why is because back in 2002, when I started my company, I found that with a lot of the people that I was working with, small startups and businesses like you guys, they were really struggling to pay for this compliance, and they weren't doing it. They were just burying their head in the sand. So what I found was to teach them some of the methods that I found success with in digital marketing and various marketing solutions that we use. We were able to really help their businesses grow and then be able to afford the compliance that they're required by law to have anyway. So we have 2 offers for you there. So this is what you get in the NIST Essentials security checkup. We give you a bird's eye view of where you are. We use the document I was referencing earlier. It's a 1-pager cybersecurity maturity assessment. Figure out what your score is in all 7 categories and figure out where you need help. And then we zero in on those areas. We show you your we show you your vulnerabilities that we need to remediate, and then we give you a detailed blueprint on what it's going to take, how much is it going to cost, and what your options are. And then on the marketing side, we go through a 23-point audit to look at your digital marketing that you're doing now, your analytics, how are you testing and tracking everything, your SEO. We look at any issues that you might have to fix. We also find often that websites don't have the proper policies and procedures. A lot of websites are missing privacy policies and they're violating FTC. So we help you with all that, making sure that you're aligned with compliance at the same time. And then again, you get a blueprint of exactly what we recommend to do moving forward to help you grow, to get more government contracts is the goal.